Hey, how's it going, team? Welcome back to part two of teaching my wife and son how to day trade momentum stocks. We went over how to read a candlestick in part one. Part two, we are going to be going over time frames and how to utilize them. Okay, so if you guys want to learn how to read time frames, stick around to the end of this video. Time frames are super important and actually kind of what I'm known for. Okay, so how to properly utilize all time frames for trading. Okay, so there's some that are more important than others according to your strategy. So, for example, if I'm someone who likes to buy and hold maybe for a few days to a few weeks, I'm going to want something that zooms out a little bit more. Okay, because if my intention is to buy and hold for a few days to a few weeks, I don't really care what happens every 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
But if my intention is to simply take advantage of a little price action every minute or two, then that's what really matters. I don't really care about this massive, 1 year chart when I'm just focused on capturing 1 minute of profit. Okay. So first thing is you have two measurements. Okay. 1Y, 1D, 1D, 1M. Can you 4H? Can you guess what that?
Days, minutes.
Okay. Yep. Exactly. So the first time frame is how much time or how much data you're giving yourself to look back at.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking at the 1 year chart, I'm going to see 1 year of data, 12 months of data. Okay. All these red lines is gaps or months. Okay. Now the second number is how big is the candlestick. Okay. So if I'm looking at the 1 year, 1 day chart, how much data per candlestick am I getting? What each candlestick means what?
1 day.
1 day, exactly. So if I go to the, what is this? 5 day, 5 minute time frame, one of my favorites, might be my favorite. What do you think this means? Is a candle
Yeah, within 5 days.
within the last 5 days. Okay, so I'm looking at 5 days of data, previous data, and today's data.
Stick is every 5 minutes.
Correct. So you're going to see when that clock strikes 14:10,
Mm-hmm.
00,
Okay.
a new candle is going to form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and what's going to happen is after tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to see this days of data. It's going to just move on.
The last.
Yep, last 5 days. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So that's basically it for time frames. Now, how I utilize them is I utilize multiple time frames. The reason being is if there's a really good setup, you know, like a setup of like this is exactly what I'm looking for, kind of like I'm hunting for that one deer
Right.
or whatever. This is the setup I'm looking for. Now, there's other traders that also are going to be able to hopefully identify that setup.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it's important to see multiple time frames, not only am I going to get more information out of said time frames, I'm also going to be able to see multiple setups across certain time frames. And the more that setup looks good in multiple time frames, the better, the more profit you're going to. Hey, I'm trying to teach mommy something.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to use these three main time frames, and I'll tell you why. The 5 day, 5 minute, the 1 day, 1 minute, and the 6 month, 4 hour. Okay, 6 month of data every candle, 4 hours. Now, what happens here is these two time frames I look at for the daily scale. Basically, if I'm day trading for that minute, or I'm day trading, these are the two main most important ones because it's really zoomed in on the time. Every 1 minute and 5 minute is a new candle. And I'm not looking at years of data. I don't care.
One to see.
Correct. And the reason why that is important, girl, is because if I'm day trading the stock and it's going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I can pull and backtrack
Mm-hmm.
data, I could say, oh, wow, there's a
Mm-hmm.
big resistance here. For example, right here, I can see that this stock failed to break $300. Look, this is a resistance line. It tapped it multiple times, and we're going to talk about resistance and support lines. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't zoom out
Right.
for back in September and August.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how to utilize time frames. The key takeaway for this is the more time frames it looks better, the more profitable a trade is going to end up being.
Mm-hmm.
Reason being, there's some traders that only use the 5 minute, only use the 1 minute, only use the 6 hour. So if it looks better on all of them, all those traders are going to be united. United traders makes money. Okay. So, what was the most important thing that you learned in this lesson?
Like the trading options,
Okay. There's options for time frames. Okay, good.
and that the more options you have available, probably the more money you can make because you can see trends and where it didn't hit, where it did.
Yep. One thing I will say to that though is that sometimes traders can get too elaborate and have too many time frames set up, and that can actually it can create indecision because they're waiting for the perfect
perfect thing, and that's not
correct. And another key takeaway is remember if I'm looking at day trading, I'm going to want to zoom in more and not have as much data. If I'm swing trading or holding for multiple days, I'm going to zoom out. Last quiz: what is the 10D 10D 30M chart?
Every candlestick is every 30 minutes of the last 10 days.
Yes, correct. Good job. I'm gonna get this style. You do too. Alrighty, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed or learned something about time frames. Super important. We're gonna go really in depth in the science behind time frames because there's a lot more to it later down the road. But I have to teach you the basics first and not go off on a tangent like I can sometimes do. So that is how you read time frames. If you guys have any questions about said time frames, I'm gonna say it one more time. Time frames. Then direct message me on Discord, Instagram, or comment below on this video. Alrighty, guys. See you in the very next video on teaching my wife and my son how to day trade. He's pretty hyped. He's pretty hyped for part 3. If you guys are as hyped as him, give a like and a follow. I'll see you guys in the very next one. Peace.